or should get going. So welcome everyone to this rewards workgroup meeting, and it's February the 2nd today, I guess. We have a few status updates. I don't have like one singular big topic to discuss today. So today will be more like a standard status update meeting, and we'll see what comes up. I think we have definitely things to talk about and plan. And my hopes were that maybe Viva could tell us a little bit something about what the latest update on the Priase bot, but he has not yet arrived. So let's skip him for now and move on to the second item on the agenda, which is the Priase front-end and back-end updates. Nebs, would you like to say a few words about what we have been up to?
Yeah. So last few days on the back-end, we are doing refactoring as we reached MVP. So right now we are doing some changes in the code. And I think today we are at the same place where we've been, but it's much nicer code and more robust, I would say. So from this point forward, we can develop new features, I think. So
yeah, we are sort of back at the same place where we was 1 week ago. So we've been on a detour of refactoring, and now we are back again. And I agree, it was needed, and like you said, it would allow us to have a more stable foundation to build on, and so that is a part of the process of moving towards the production environment. So what is happening, except apart from us doing the refactoring, is that we are going to package the front end and the back end into one like mono repository package, because that will make it easier for us to deploy this system for other communities later on when we have a mostly one repository to work in. And we are also setting up the production server as of now, so that the current server we're using will be using as a test server, would be my guess, and then we'll use the new server as a production server for the TEC, and the address will be priase.tecommons.org to access the Priase system. I guess that's it for Priase updates, unless you have anything more, Nebs?
No, I think that's it for this week. Right now I'm adding some security features for database, so username, password, stuff like that, so we don't have these problems that we had last few days.
Yeah, we had another database incident, and the current guess is that somehow the database has been accessible from the outside world, even though we have had a firewall set up. So somehow if the firewall is here, everything that has been running in the Docker containers have been sort of running outside of the firewall still, and that has made the database an easy target for various troll killer bots running on the internet looking for open ports, etc. So that is our current guess, that is what has caused the database crashes, and hopefully, so now the database is running on the right side of the firewall, and we will also add extra layers of security, and hopefully this will not occur again. And if Mitch just appeared. So Mitch, we were just concluding the status update for Priase frontend and backend, and maybe we could talk a little bit about quantification, test quant, and moving forward with the test quant, what would be the next steps, sort of?
Well, I mean, it was a bit difficult, the second one that we did, because it seemed like there was a lot of issues. Like the information kept on being lost, and people were not having the quantify panel show up for them. But I feel like that's user testing stuff more than like quantification practice. But I think those are still big issues that we need to figure out before we can move on from doing test quants.
Yeah, those issues were an effect of the database not being there. So actually, it was the system behaved as expected. So when a new user logs in, a user account is created. So what happened, and what caused the people not seeing the quantification dashboard was that they had accidentally received 2 user accounts, because they logged in when the database was empty, creating a new account, and then I restored the backup, recreating their old account. So it's not a system problem. That was a shit behind the steering wheel problem in the form of me. I should have emptied the database again before I imported the backup, not as to create dual user accounts. So it's not an issue that needs fixing, that one.
Well, that's cool, but I still think we could try a third test quant, really just for the sake of user feedback, and like as long as we can go a week of it being stable, database, UX, everything.
Then I think we should plan to do a slightly smaller test quant. And this would mean, I guess, I don't know how everyone would feel about that if we were to sort of delete the quantifications that have been done now. Or do you think we should continue on the current quantification? Because what
that we can pull in?
Sorry?
Is there new data that we can pull in? Like, what if we pulled in December or something, or June?
Yeah, of course we can do that.
How hard is that though?
It's not hard. It'll take a few hours. We need to run the script that Graal has made to export data from the spreadsheet and then import that into the database. Yeah. And then I think my suggestion would be that we create a praise period that is shorter this time, so that the burden of quantification is smaller, so that everyone maybe is assigned like at tops 100 praise per person, because the ideal situation would be if we could finish that quant mostly, because then we could export a quite complete data set, with all the numbers in all the columns, and that would be good for the taking it into the next step. If we were to export the current praise period, it would consist mostly of wholes and zeros. So the whole analysis step would be weird. So let
just take like a 1 week or 2 week slice.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I think that would be best.
We can try that, and then you can have like a full data set.
Because then next steps would be sort of to conclude that quantification, export the data, move into the analysis step, and run through that. And I don't know if we should try to do a dry run also of it's difficult to do a dry run of the actual distribution, I guess, because we don't have a testnet DAO set up or anything. But that is fairly straightforward, I guess, when it comes to distributing the tokens.
You want to test DAO?
I don't know. Do you think it would be valuable to do a test of the distribution? We will have in the end we will have a list of Ethereum addresses and with token amounts.
Do we have test tokens?
No,
I don't
not
know
unless.
I don't know if it helps for now, but we did a test distribution last year using sourcecred. So at least we know that sourcecred with that DAO works. And I think the Priase data would just be in a CVS file and it should be the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I saw that you guys use like a redemptions app or something. I have to talk to Matteo how he did it. But I think we can just use the real DAO to send out a test as long as we're sending test tokens.
Yeah, and the thing that we would like to test is perhaps the thing that Sam has mentioned, that they are working on, this EVM CRISPR way of paying everything in one batch automatically when the vote is approved. Because I guess that is not a tried and tested solution. Using the Disperse app, I guess would not need to be tested, because that is it's a thing out there. It has been used for a while. So if we can produce a CSV file, yeah.
It's easy enough. I know how to use EVM CRISPR, so in terms of making this script, I could probably figure it out.
Okay. So we'll when that time comes, we'll make a test distribution in the real DAO using test tokens just to verify everything works, and then we're good to go, basically. Cool. So then we'll try to set up some new data in the system, set up a new Priase period, a short one, but I don't think we can just assign everyone that is in the quantified pool, because my guess would be that not all of them are set to do another round of test quantification. So I think before we assign quantifiers, we would need to sort of gauge who is interested to do it once more. Okay, should we move on to the next item, which is Priase revision? And neither MS or Nugget is here, but I can just recap what we have been talking about. Unless we covered this in last week's meeting. I don't think so. Did we do that? We need to do a cleanup of the Priase data, the old Priase data, because there has been some issues with some Priase not being registered for some users at occasions, and there are also some other issues with the data stored in the Google spreadsheet containing all the Priase history. So it's sometimes the Priase are bunched together. It's on the margin. I'd say my guess would be it's less than 1% of the total Priase amount affected by some kind of thing. But there's some noise in the old Priase data, and MS and Nugget will try to identify the different classes of noise and find ways to remove it from the Priase, the old Priase database. And for transparency, we will store that in a separate repository before importing everything into the new Priase system. So we will have the original Priase data. We will have the proposed changes by MS and Nugget, and then we will have a filtered data set with the changes applied. and then we will have that data set converted into a JSON importable file, and all those files will be in that repository, so anyone can see, follow the process from beginning to end, and we'll do that before importing the final data into the production Priase server. But the status of their work, I'm not sure of, because I haven't spoken to either of them this week. Last week they had begun setting up the repository and started doing some initial identification of these different kinds of noise. And the sourcecred pollen bot, now let's see, and Matteo is not here or has either, so I can report for them as well. We had a meeting earlier today talking about the pollen bot, and the short story is that the pollen bot is up and running, and we are testing it now. So it's running on a hidden channel on the TEC server, and I just tried it myself, and it seems to be running fine. And the purpose of the pollen bot is for us to be able to self-administer our user profiles in the sourcecred system. So for us to be able to receive tokens based on the data in sourcecred, we need to connect our sourcecred identities with our GitHub profiles and our discourse profiles, and also verify our Discord accounts. So we interact with this the pollen bot to verify our profiles, and we'll test that a little bit, me and Matteo and Has, and to see that everything works and see that the correct information ends up in the sourcecred ledger, and that the weekly grain and these automatic calculations happen every week. And once everything is verified that it's running, and we need to set the new parameters, but those we will discuss tomorrow. And once those steps are completed, we can, I think we can say that the sourcecred instance is live and running. So that feels good to finally arrive at see that goal at the horizon at least. And let's go back to the Priase bot by YV. He's not here, so I can report for him as well. A lot of me talking today, but yeah. So what has happened with the Priase bot? By YV, he has been refactoring there a little bit as well. The Priase bot is active and it's working. We are modifying the way that messages get posted back to the channel where you do the praise, so you actually see a copy of your praise, the praise reason, and who got praised, etc. And also we'll make the messaging format the bot uses a little bit more compact, so that it doesn't take up so much space in the chat channels. But other than that, it's the actual Priase bot. The new Priase bot is nearing completion. So soon we will be able to remove that item from this agenda completely, I think. And that is what I had today. Do we need to bring up anything else for discussion while we're here, everyone?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, just quick that I had a feedback from the quant that it would be helpful to have some type of guidelines of like base measures of certain things, And I think especially for this quant that we're doing, that is things that we won't quantify in the future, like meetings and Twitter and forum and stuff. Maybe for these things, we could set a base value just to accelerate the process now of the old quant, like the same value that we will set up on sourcecred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's define that, I guess, a little bit more. Like, what exactly do we give base values for?
Meeting attendance would be one such thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Twitter, forum, like forum activity, Twitter activity, presence and calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is all right. That or GitHub, anything that we're gonna be using sourcecred for. Those are the things we should have base values now.
But as long as like we don't confuse like the value of somebody's forum post, you know? Like there's the objective action of posting on the forum or commenting on the forum, but then there's the perceived value of like what that forum post was about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the value of the forum is just like a like, or like the fact of engaging.
Yeah,
And
and those are the
then,
ones that Ivy puts out usually.
Yeah, praise
yeah,
X and X for being active on the forums this week.
Okay. Yeah, we could be explicit with that so that people don't get those confused. But I think it's a good idea, Olivia.
Twitter activity, meeting attendance, and forum activity. There was one.
GitHub. But I don't think we see GitHub ones as much.
No.
No.
There's no praising basically of GitHub
Nobody
issue work.
cares
So,
GitHub.
no.
Well, the heavy lifting happens. Come on.
Yeah.
This will be very clear after tomorrow's call. Maybe we could do a forum post of that call of what were all the parameters that were set. And then those parameters are the guides for the quant too.
That's cool. We have 35 minutes. I don't know. I'd love to just like set up the test quant now and then get it rolling before the weekend comes in. Do you think it's something that needs a lot of time to decide these base values?
Well, I think it would make a lot of sense to not have just random values, but to have the same values that we will be using in the future. And that's something we're gonna do tomorrow anyways. You mean like we couldn't wait until tomorrow? That you want to open this now? And
I mean, I have the rest of the day to work on it, so it's like I could get the values in, I could write it up, and I could open the quant and have people working on it like when they wake up in Europe Thursday.
I am not certain that I can run the script that Grail made myself, so that I can import the December data, because that is I haven't looked into. He has it's in a repository that I have access to, but I haven't tried running it. So I cannot promise that I can do it myself. And in that case, I need to wait until tomorrow when Grail. It's nighttime in the Philippines now. So,
okay.
But I can give it a try. Definitely, it's a Ruby script. It shouldn't be that.
What I hear is that maybe we should just wait then.
But let me say this: we have a scale that begins at 1 and ends at 144. And what is the smallest contribution you could possibly make? What is the smallest contribution that we regularly praise? Isn't that meeting attendance?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, those are the things that we need to discuss.
Yeah.
And they will be like the discussion that we'll have. The call tomorrow will be exactly this, just discussing like what is the value of each thing that SourceCred is tracking. But I think I agree with what you said, Christopher, that since we had problems 2 weeks in a row, maybe this next quant should be like mostly internal. Like, how can we not keep burning people's engagement? And maybe the board does this new test.
Well,
And if it passes at least if we don't lose the data, then
yeah,
we
I
can
would
go.
say instead of calling it a test quant, we'll just call it like a user feedback round. You know.
Yeah.
Open the quant, people who want to like try it out and provide user feedback, that rather than actual quantification, and we'll just see if this thing is stable.
Yeah, that's a better framing.
Because I can do that now then, and then we don't have to worry about these values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need, we could just use November data in that case, like we wouldn't have to switch it up.
Yeah, but the thing is to be able to use the November data again, I would have to delete all the current quantifications, and that is sort of psychologically maybe not ideal if people have spent.
See if you can get December, you know, some Christmas praise.
Well, I'll give it a try, and let's hope that it runs. And decentralized SDGs. Did you you said something before?
Hey everyone, I you know, being part of the DAO research group and then focusing on TC praise, I've been meaning to jump in this call for a while, so it's just really cool what you guys are all doing. I was just a few questions I was thinking, because I've been mulling this over as I was doing a bit of a deep dive in SourceCred for the research side. Was on the policies that's being envisioned, because you have this one where you can, you know, your reputation sort of continues with you, or that it's sort of you're only looking at each interval period and then it's sort of reset across the board. So I was just curious, like what the sentiment is on that, and then on these instances and weights that we're going to be that ultimately get configured, what is the like collaborative economics approach to like validating that with the broader community? I was just curious. Over.
To answer your second question, there will be no configuration of weights, and there will be the discussion about should it be like standardized, like we mentioned, this standardized values for these most simple types of praise. But then it's an exercise in collective intelligence. So we will not provide clear guidelines. You should praise this kind of contribution with this score. So it would be an emergent property that grows out of the group of quantifiers over time. There will emerge practices, common practices, and sort of maybe a common understanding on how to value things. But we will try not to steer that process from the beginning, because that would mean that we take a top-down approach, and we really don't want to do that. And for the second question, sorry, now I forgot your first question.
It was on this. The first one was on SourceCred, so not on praise, but like on the SourceCred policy configuration, where you have two options, where your cred score basically lives with you throughout time, so you're constantly sort of increasing your reputation, or it's sort of it's reset across the board in each interval.
That would be a topic of discussion for tomorrow's parameters call.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, and then the to that point was like, how are we going to validate those parameter decisions with the broader community? Because those do sort of set the economics of the reward system ultimately.
Yeah, the reward board will have the responsibility to manage those parameters initially, and people in the reward board can be replaced. I don't know how we define that, how that process looks in detail, but generally the reward board has the responsibility to check with the community, and in if needed, do advice process or even voting if that it becomes apparent that there's like a split in the community on how the community views how much to value different things, and if the community don't think the reward board does a good job, there has to be a way for the community also to replace the reward board. But the general idea is that the reward board for each praise period will evaluate the current parameters and will be able to tweak them if they see that the results are skewed in some way.
That's cool. So like if there's model drift, they can just retweak it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's cool.
Awesome. And that's what one of the really cool things of starting this bi-weekly process of every 2 weeks sort of reevaluating the parameters and reevaluating, analyzing the results and making maybe small adjustments if we see that something seems off, and see how that develops over time. And our hopes are that it will lead to vastly better results than before.
Yeah, I can see a benefit. And I was even thinking around this, and the research was like not totally having a chaos theory approach, but like so that people don't at the onset, because otherwise you're setting the rules and people know then what's rewarded. So that's clear. If the community has a clear thing they want to incentivize, they'll get more of it. But if it's not, it can be more authentic because no one's clear what gets rewarded. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks. Unless we have anything else that's we need to bring up, I suggest we close it here and then try to set up this new quant. And I'm going to dive into the Ruby script, and yeah. So thank you everyone for coming. See you next week, or before that, even tomorrow maybe.